Alice, hi, and welcome to a Business Growth Mindset podcast.
Hi, Christian.
The Top Achievers series. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm really good, actually. I'm really excited that you're here. For our listeners out there, I'm incredibly proud that you've made the time available to come and share.
Just for you, Christian.
Thank you. To come and share with us what essentially makes a top achiever. But before we do that, what I want to do is I want you just to explain to our listeners who you are and what your business is, in your own words.
Sure. Well, my name is Alice Pennington. I'm the founder of Pennington Design, which is a graphic design studio based here in good old Adelaide. Started it in Sydney and moved back to Adelaide about 10 years ago now, which time flies. We do everything design, branding specifically, which basically is design, from logo right through to all collateral on the printing and digital fronts, logo, brochures, websites, flyers, signage, anything you can think of, you should actually have branded, including internal documentation and guidelines. We also work with people that have existing branding, where we can follow it through or continue or create new branding, and packaging very much so. So it's all collateral that we work with. We have a fantastic group of clients that we have had for a long time, some of them for over 10 years, and we've essentially become an extension of their team. And we love working with very passionate people that value design and branding, and it's the person behind really the business that we work with, because in order to understand a brand, you have to understand who you're working with and how they brief you and how their perception is and what their consumer needs are. They know their consumer and they know their business best. And also I have a fantastic team of, we're all girls team, funnily enough, just by accident. Leah and Chloe, and we have Emma who's on maternity leave, and they're fantastic girls. And that we each have our strengths that we bring to the table, our creative abilities, and we work really well as a team, which is the most important thing. So we bring out the best in each other, and we collaborate, because we collaborate with our clients as well. Design is about collaboration and bring the best out of everybody.
Fantastic. So what do you love doing the most in your business?
Oh, that's a hard one. I get a lot of energy from the small little things that come up to the big stuff. So it's when we go towards, when I start to really understand a client, like a new one, and I learn a little bit more about how they work and those intricacies, I get really excited about those. And then when I can really understand that separation, because obviously every brand that we work with is different, personalities are different, so the approach has to be different. And so understanding how they see and how they want it to be perceived, when I can get into that, I get really excited. And then from there, you build. And so then when you know that's how they work, I kind of like the brains behind it all. And then also seeing a design come together, and then putting it across collateral. And then even like the other day, we had an opening night for one of our clients, and we walk in and just seeing their excitement and their value, that their pride in what they've done and they've achieved, and we've supported them, is so exciting. And still to this day, it doesn't matter. When I see material out there that we've done, I still give myself a little bit of a yay. I don't know why, it's still forever, and I've been in the industry for 20 years, but I get excited when people get excited. I just love seeing everyone, doing the best that they can, and, it coming out in their eyes and in their soul. It's like magic.
I think what's really wonderful when I asked you that question was just seeing you light up, and I think that's really, really important because it's an attribute of many top achievers that they're very purpose-driven, they have very strong values. Share with us not so much your values, but your company values, to just give us a better understanding of what drives the behaviours at Pennington Design.
Of course. Well, it is really bringing out the best in everybody, the value of, I guess, happiness, really. So the energy that we were talking about earlier, just energising people. When people are passionate about something, the energy and life comes automatically. And so that's a big part of it. It's actually finding the passion in everybody and bringing that out. And also it's what people, their needs and requirements, and we're solution driven. So we are here to make people's lives easier. And we do that with absolute joy, because for us, it's not a problem. We're problem solvers. We love trying to break that down and then finding their life that they can continue on with what they focus on. And we pride ourselves in making their lives easier. Our values are about our clients. We take care of ourselves as a team, because we work better if we are taking care of ourselves. Health and wellbeing is a big part of it. But through the domino effect, you get a better result. And it's all about really our client and bringing them to the table, understanding what they want, and fulfilling their needs with a bit of the Palliant style, which is
brilliant.
Bit of love.
A bit of love. Is that what it is? A bit of love. Now, look, Alice, I've known you for a while now, and I feel very privileged because you do have an abundance of energy, and I also have the wonderful opportunity to work with you and your team, both as a client and also as an advisor, and your team really embeds those values, and there's always happiness and sunshine, as you put it, happiness and sunshine. When you come into the office, and I think that's really important. And even watching your team at networking events, and you're a bit of a network goddess, right? They embody that, and they're not really, neither of Leah or Chloe are really the extroverted types that would throw themselves into the deep end of networking. But when you've got a fearless leader like yourself, who, by the way, is also quite introverted in that sense, you've really shone a light on how you can go out there and be yourself. And I think that's also embodied in the design work that you do. Not many people can say that they've had clients for more than 10 years, and we're not talking small clients, are we? I mean, you have a national client who's also pretty much a global player in the paints industry, and I think that speaks volumes for the quality of work that you do over and over again. What do you see, though, is the real value that your business is adding to the world? So what is the real value that Palliant Design adds to the world?
Oh, wow, that's a tough question. And it is. That's why you're looking at me like that. Value add, I think it's, everything's a unique selling point, in the marketing terms. Our unique selling point is, I guess, the value we add is we very much care about our clients, and the long-term relationship is very purposeful. A brand is something that evolves over time. It's a personality. It's like a little person, really. And so to understand it, see where it can go, expand on it, adjust it when it needs to be, is very something that you need to understand. And that happens over time. And that's through people that we work with. The value we add is that we're fiercely loyal, and we are efficient, but we're so reliable. We are always there for our clients, and they know that. So many times we get a lot of desperation of, I need this done, and we support them no matter what. We'll do everything we can. Obviously, last minute jobs come up. It's unavoidable. As well trained as anyone is, things do come up, and we are there no matter what. We will get it done. And sometimes we do always prefer a bit of time so we can really develop it. But then the thing is, we can still deliver no matter what, because we understand the brand. That comes with years of experience, though, and understanding against the people we're working with. So I guess the value we bring is we really bring ourselves to the table without any, there's no ego here. We're truly for the people that we work for.
Amazing. And I think, the big thing that I heard there is that you evolve with your client. And that's a really big lesson for anyone that's in business, is that in business we have to evolve. And I think for you've managed to encapsulate all that into your core competencies of your organisation, but more importantly, your people, because your focus is your team. And then your team is also your stakeholders, which are your clients. You know what I really enjoyed when you said a brand is like a little person. One thing that's always fascinated me about you is you have three little people.
Yes, I have three.
And Lexi. And Lexi's the dog that keeps escaping.
Escape artist.
Before we jumped onto the podcast, Alice was just sharing with me how her neighbour at 3 a.m. this morning knocked on her door and wanted to have a conversation about Lexi the runaway. And Alice was quite entertained, weren't you, Alice? Yes. That at 3 o'clock in the morning, your neighbour wanted to have an in-depth conversation about how do we prevent Lexi from going over. It appears that Lexi has a boyfriend, and the boyfriend lives next door. So I'm not sure.
My teenager.
Yeah. And you also have three children who, Jade is going to become a teenager now, and she is. So you're getting practice with Lexi.
I know. I feel like that she is preparing me for the sleepless nights again.
How do you cope with being a really busy mum, three children and Lexi, managing a house, managing life? I think it's such an undervalued thing, being a mum who runs a successful business. And your business is successful. We're not going to here today to talk about numbers, but you took a home office and have turned it into a big office outside of the home, while still being a mum, and you're an amazing mum. I get to see that a lot in the interactions that we have, and I've had the privilege of meeting your children. So, how do you do that, Alice? I mean, I'm a white privileged male. I've got Lucy at home, as you know, and I have that luxury. She looks after everything and the children. How do you do it?
I had a fantastic mentor in my life, which was my mum, and she did it. I'm one of four, and she worked with my father. They had their own business, and I think I saw it firsthand, and it is just without simplifying. It's just what you do. You get up there, you get to it. It's there. It's a lot of organisation, but you just get it done. I don't sit and dwell into, oh my God, I've got all this stuff to do. Sometimes, yes, we do. We all have those moments, but you get up in the morning and you do what you need to do, but you also enjoy the moments. You try. It's a really funnily enough, a hard question, because I don't know how I do it. I just do it. And I've never really, I've reflected on it before, because it does come up. A lot of people do ask how I do it. And I just know that I just put one foot in front of the other, and I get it done. Because I'm a mover. I need to get things going. I like things going along nicely. I like energy. I am energetic, so I have a lot of it, and I want to get things moving. I don't like sitting down and wasting time. I want to live. Life is full of so many possibilities and opportunities. So I always have the opinion of, well, I've got three children, and it's not, that's just something I have as well as what else I want to do. I can't because I have three children, it's what else can I do? I have three children, and they can see that. And I want to show them that they can do anything. And I know the whole, yes, you can do anything that you put your mind to. Yeah, absolutely. But it takes a lot of hard work. A lot of sleepless nights, a lot of, there's no lazing around. The lazy days don't exist in my life, but I don't know how to be lazy. I actually have to force myself to be, which is, just a personality trait as well. But yeah, I think a big part of it though, my mum, she taught me everything I know, and I wish if I could just be a portion of her. I'm pretty blessed. Yeah,
look, I understand that, because we've spoken about your mum a lot, but also, if I can, we had to say goodbye to your mum this year. She passed away in April.
Yes.
I wish that I'd actually gotten to meet your mum. I've said this to you before. I learnt so much about a person at her wake, at the funeral, and I was sitting there in awe of what everybody was saying, and also what they weren't saying about your mum. So I truly understand how special she was to you, but that's just added another layer of complexity to your life. How are you able to continue growing your business? You've had to deal with that significant loss. So, to me, clearly your mum is who shaped your childhood to, I guess, be the type of business person that you are today? Because that was going to be one of my questions. And he's sort of like, so how do you, I guess, what are the coping mechanisms that you've had to rely on to fill this void or this gap? I mean, clearly she has taught you well. So, how can you share that emotion with us, or how can you share those coping mechanisms so that other people who may not be going through this right now or are going through this right now are able to lean on your experience?
Well, I'm not going to lie, it's the hardest thing I've ever gone through. Still going through it, and I don't think that I'll ever leave. My dad has been amazing, actually. My dad, ambitious, always pushed us as well. So Mum and Dad were a good yin and yang. Mum being extremely patient, and my dad very much, let's get to it. They're both very similar in the sense of the ambitious side of life. Coping, Dad's really stepped up. Emotionally, I've never known my dad to be emotional, and I'm a mama's girl. So, and also I'm very blessed to, I'm the youngest of 4, so I have a brother and 2 sisters that, it's amazing when you go through something quite so tragic as losing a parent. I guess you revert to your childhood, and so my siblings look at me as their little sister, and they and I feel that, and I feel like they definitely very much take care of me as much as I can take care. We all lean on each other very much so, and Dad, and check in on each other. But definitely, I think knowing I feel Mum around me. Because my children talk about Mum and they, throw the words around really easily. I mean, in a different way. And some days that Mum talk is hard. Some moments are really hard. But it's a real learning curve of allowing the emotions to come and sitting them for a bit, but not letting them consume, because they can be all consuming. And it's that whole get up and, it's a new day. And sometimes that new day is not as much easier than the day before. And sometimes it's worldly different. But I definitely, I talk to Mum personally, and I know that she's there. I feel her. I feel like she prepared me for this, even though at the time you don't even know it. Because, the person I am that my dad and Mum as a family have created, there's a lot of love. We've got a lot of reliability, but we're hugely independent. Like, we are very independent people, and we've been taught that way, I guess. We know that way. So it kind of comes back to yourself. You have to kind of look at yourself. Self-awareness, self-reflection, yoga, big fan of, do a lot of, has helped me through a lot of it. Like when Mum was first diagnosed, and anything that's ever happened, that self-reflection, or rather than trying to hide it, escape from it, view it. And that's hard. It's so hard. And but allowing that for yourself, and finding out what it's teaching you. It might not seem to come to fruition just yet, and it might. I don't know. I can't speak for anyone else. For me, it is every day is a learning curve. Every day. And it's a reminder of, like I'll hear a song, I'll hear anything or something, and I'll get this wave of emotion, and sometimes the wave is of happiness, and sometimes it's I just want to cry. And I'm allowing that a bit more. Allowing my vulnerability, which is the hardest thing, because it's so easy once you have that wall up to keep that wall up and ignore those emotions. They'll come and bite you, but allowing that emotion and just kind of coming face to face with it. As hard as it is, it's the best thing. Not necessarily feel at the time, but it's just trusting the process, whatever that process is. And that's the thing. You don't know what it is. The fear of what's going forward. I feel like I've gone through so much that really what else could it be that could be so more frightening? It's I always had a fear of losing my mum, and it is very much has happened. and I'm still alive and kicking, and I know that she's there with me no matter what, and I will continue and draw on her strength through every day and know that I've always got it, because I'm lucky enough that she's in me and she's in my siblings and in my children and my nieces and nephews.
I think what's really special from you sharing that story, and thank you for being so vulnerable. As I said, I've had the privilege of working with you for a couple of years now, and that's actually why I wanted you on the podcast, because I remember you saying, I'm not really a top achiever, what are you talking about? And I'm like, well, you are, because you demonstrate such fearlessness despite the fact that there is an undercurrent of fear in everything. But what I've seen that's impressed me, and I think the listeners would have just picked that up too, is that vulnerability, that ability to stand up and be present in the arena, to really stand up. And I think, you know, with the tragic loss of your mum, you've had to step up in a really, really big way. And there's been lots of other things going on in your life too, which are not for today. But what really stands out for me, Alice, is your ability to be resilient, but also your passion and your purpose for what you do and what you do for others, right? You know, you have as much energy as I have. You know, it's quite interesting. And maybe people are going to pick this up. You know, when I see you get excited, it actually makes me chill out. And I really like that. And I think that's a really special characteristic that you have. And it shines through in your business. And I think that's really important. It's something that we probably don't have time to go into to really demonstrate that for people. But I think what's really important is that for you, you know, your mum, through your childhood, the fact that they had a business and they worked together really did shape the business person you are today, because you have a tremendous work ethic. I know I'm telling the audience what I know, but you have a tremendous work ethic and it really comes through, but it's underpinned by all of these values and these beliefs. So, you know, congratulations.
Thank you.
What, and I think one of the questions that I want to lean into now is, you know, when you are overwhelmed and when you get unfocused, what do you do to realign?
That's a really good question, because I get annoyed at myself for being unfocused, and I can feel it, because I think that's, as time has allowed, I've really learned to pick up on it, and I know when I'm going down the slope, I guess, and that's frustration for me. But I'm a big yoga person, so coming to the mat is a big part of focusing and clarity, because, you know, life throws you so many curveballs and so much stuff that it's coping with it. And sleep is always a good one. No, that's not my strength, because I like to keep moving. But I definitely, I do a lot of exercise. I walk in nature. I love a sunrise, sunset. Give me a view. Seriously, Mother Nature is a phenomenal healing. She's amazing. Spending time with people, getting energized by people, positive people though, is a big factor there, because negativity is the Debbie Downer, it's draining. And so while I don't get maybe the traditional rest, I get re-energized by people and where they're coming from. Realignment. A long time ago, probably when I was a teenager, I was probably going through a phase in life where things seemed a bit sad, I guess. Nothing really dramatic, but life is just, you know, as a teenager, sucks. But I don't know what happened, but it's like this turning point. It's like a light switched on. It's like, get over yourself, stop feeling so sorry for yourself, stop the negative talk, get yourself into gear, one foot in front of the other. So what do you chip away? Like when you've got a really big project, you don't go, oh my God, what do? You go, okay, what can I achieve? Let's just chip away at this. And then before you know it, the whole project's done and you've done it successfully. And then you get re-energized by every step that you make. So it's really just that first step. It's like just making the decision and actually making the decision in your head and going, okay, enough's enough. I've allowed this. You've gone through this, right? Okay, now step it up. One foot in front of the other.
You know why I'm laughing.
Wow.
So I think one of the things that I hope is coming through in the audio is you are an absolute control freak, right? And it's
Is that coming through?
Yeah, no. I said I hope it's coming through because I know you well. But what it is that you have also, and what you're demonstrating is that you are able to find quiet when you need to. Like you made the point that going to the mat is about concentration and focus.
Oh, clarity.
And the other thing that I really am, it's resonating with what you're saying is these small steps. See, I also know that you're incredibly organised, and that's also coming through. That's actually how you manage everything. You're incredibly organised. You have a catchphrase that if you ever need to know how to get something done, ask a busy mum. And I really do encourage, by the way, anyone listening to this to follow Alice on Instagram on the Pennington Design page. Yes. She does share some of the most incredible pictures, don't you, Alice? You really do. And you love nature. So I guess for me, listening to all these things, that's what I'm hoping is coming through, is that when you meet the real Alice, everything you say, you do. And it's the way you do it. You are very organised. And the part that I love the most that you articulated was small steps. I think you've heard me talk about that a lot. I always say to people, all we've got to do is move the dial 2 millimeters at a time. And if we're moving 2 millimeters every single day towards our common goal, then we are going to be, a kilometre in the correct direction, as opposed to going in a completely different direction.
Sure.
And I think for you, that's where your control freakness, right, has allowed you to really. They're the sort of really cool habits that you've formed for yourself. Now, this is the next question I wanted to ask you. It was what new habit or existing habit or belief or behaviour, perhaps, that has given you the greatest improvement in your life?
What new habit? Oh, you Christian.
Thanks, Alice. I'm not sure that's correct, but anyway.
No, well, I think it's more. Definitely having someone like you in my life, to mentor, to lean on, because reality is you need kind of your cheerleading squad. You always need to be able to. I have ideas, thoughts.
Oh, hang on, you were being serious. I actually thought you were joking. Right? No, thank you. I appreciate that. Let me just clarify. No. I was like, she's going with this? She actually is being serious here?
No, I am, because you also hold me to accountability. And I don't like letting people down. Mm-hmm. And that is a big factor. And I know I don't like letting people down. So having you there, and I know that, and I know the thing is, it's not letting you down, it's letting myself down. And so it's like you're the mirror that stands up, and then I even talk to you, and then I know the answer already. It's just that, I need that. And
I'm laughing because the amount of times we're very lucky. Our offices are in the same building, and you will come up to me and you ask me a question, and I don't even have to answer anymore because you'll be like, "I know the answer, don't I?" And I'm like, "Yeah," and just walk out. And
I'll come floating in.
But what's really interesting with what you're saying, and I'm going to let you continue answering that question because I think there's some really good learnings there for people. Having a confidant or having an advisor is such an underrated resource for a lot of people.
Sure.
And, a lot of people that are listening to this are probably thinking, hang on a minute, Alice owns a graphic design studio and you're working with Christian. You had significant courage to make that step up. And for you, it has been, a monumental improvement on where you were. But the truth is, I can't take credit for that. You are an exceptional person. That's why you're featuring in this podcast, not because you're a client. Your own merit, you've earned that. And that's why I'm fascinated when I listen to you, because I am always impressed. You are one of my star pupils. I always look at you as my pupil because you're like a sponge. You're wanting to learn. And I guess the reason why I'm sharing that with the audience is that's such an important characteristic. It's all well and good that you want to tell the world that I am actually your biggest improvement came from a habit of spending time with someone like me. But we actually are the sum of the 5 people that we hang around with. And that was Jim Rohn. It's not me that said that. And that's so bloody true. And you raised the point about being around the right people. It's if you are around like-minded people that have a common goal, you will all grow. And absolutely. I think and that's why even with your networking that you do, you really are attracting the right people around you. So I think I want you just to continue elaborating on the significance of having the right advice. Not so much me, I'm just saying the significance that you've learned from having the right advice, but having the right people around you, like your mum, just anyone that can actually just not hand you the information. No. It's more, you know what you want.
They just encourage you to step up.
Correct. So
just,
it'd be really, really interesting for me, and I guess I'm being selfish. I'd like to know, what it is truly that drives, that has empowered you, right? Because that's what it is. It's a sense of empowerment for you.
True.
Because you can have that extra element of confidence, knowing that you're not in it alone, right?
100%. Oh,
because business is lonely, right?
Yes, and I think that's before we started working together. I was lonely in business for sure, because I kind of
actually, that makes sense.
I wouldn't say a sitting duck, but kind of not going anywhere, but not going backwards, but just not kind of in a stagnant position, because I'd had 3 children in this process, and so that therefore there was an element of my business that I couldn't I couldn't have grow, because I was, raising young children with a partner that travelled a lot as well. And so therefore it fell on me. I had to create an environment where I could be accessible to my family anytime. Plus also, but then I like to work. I get a lot of value from my business. I feel very privileged that I love what I do, and I hope to continue on as long as I possibly can. And so that very much helps. And then, yes, the lonely in business, because it gets to a point of, where do I go from here? Because I guess the thought processes of, I want to grow, how do I do that? So many questions, and I like to learn as well, but it's where do I learn from, and because I know, like my family, we all have our kind of own business, and we're in different sectors, completely different areas. So therefore, the approach is completely different, really. But then fundamentally, not really at the same time. We all have big personalities, I guess, or strong personalities. Not necessarily huge extroverts, but it's finding that value from each other and lean on that. But also, for me, again, it's that light bulb moment. It's that taking that decision, making the step of going, okay, something's not sitting right. So I can sit in it and dwell and do whatever, or I can make a decision to make a difference. And so what is that difference? And then it's a small step again. So, we met, and then you kind of pushed me where I fought you, because I knew that was the right answer, as in what you were telling me I knew inside was it. It's just that, when you're quietly in business, and I had never tapped into Adelaide, I did what I did, but I never thought about it. I never thought about how my business really was seen from anyone's perspective, because I'm an unknown in Adelaide. But then my business was growing in Sydney, because word of mouth is always how I've worked. Because once my foot is in the door, I really get to know the people, and I want to bring the best out of everybody. And so that decision to grow when I came to you is not just a business decision, it's a personal decision as well, because that they come part and parcel, really. You can't grow in business without have self-growth, because that's self-awareness again, and you have to do the things that you think you don't want to do.
Yeah.
And you pushed me into networking, which is a big part, and I was like, no!
Do you remember the fear on your face?
Yes!
Like, I actually thought for the first time ever in my life I was going to be fired. And I stood there and
You're close, man.
And I pushed you very hard. And
Yes.
we spent a fair bit of time coaching you up
Yes.
to that level. And the resistance, wow, I mean, but...
Yes, I know. I know. And then, yes, now I do.
But you made that... See, I think what's really important for the listeners to understand is I can only do so much. Anyone can only do so much for you. You have to make the decision. You are a really good decision maker. You, as you said, by your own volition, you don't dwell on stuff for very long. You use your intuition, you follow your own instinct, and you listen to everything around you, and then you make your own decision. It's all very nice that you're acknowledging my work in helping you get to where you are, but you're actually an easy person to influence along the way because you're intelligent, you know what you're doing, and you're a bloody good specialist at what you do. So it's for me, I always found it an easy task, but as you've just said, it's about getting that to being comfortable with being uncomfortable. And I know that's one of my qualities. I have a wonderful habit of making people feel really uncomfortable. Yeah. But what I try and teach them over a period of time is how to become comfortable with that. Because for you, the amount that you've grown as a person is something that I'm most proud of. Because there's one thing about growing people's businesses and making them have more money to buy the things they don't need, But when you grow someone and they're growing by their own volition, not anything forced, and you watch them flourish, that's why all my programs are called Grow and Flourish. But when that happens for me, I know that I'm achieving my purpose. And hearing you say that is incredibly enriching to how I feel, which is wonderful, and I appreciate that. But with that in mind, what is then one habit that, if I'm that person that's helped you through the techniques and things we've done, what is one habit then, or one behaviour, or even a belief for that matter then, that you've learnt along the way that would help anyone else?
Do everything that you are afraid of. Like step into it. That's where you find your power. That's where you find your truth. It's not, like going to a networking event. My whole approach to it is completely different. It used to be, and now it's, okay, who do I want to talk to? And who do I want to meet? And everyone comes with beautiful, amazing stories, and everyone can, that brings some, you're speaking to people that are business owners, that are passionate about what they do, and to see their eyes shine and light up, that's awesome. And really, that's all you're doing is just, you're talking to people and getting to know them. It's not so fearful, and also it's not like going to a clicky party. You're going to people that want to talk about their business and they want to get to know you too. So it's, no one's going to judge you. I think that's fear of judgment is a big part of it. People are going to judge you no matter what you do, and you're the worst judgment on yourself. So just do it anyway, because if you aren't true to yourself, you're living a lie. And quite frankly, I'm all about finding opportunity, and God, it's invigorating, it's energizing. The more I do it, the more I want to do it. So it's, what is your fear? Why is your fear? Really, what's the fear about? And what's the worst thing that can happen? Because usually the worst thing that can happen is you not doing it.
Yeah, it's the inaction, right?
Look,
out of everything, one of the most wonderful traits that you have is your ability to make decisions, right? And actually make them. So many people say they want to do something and then they'll sit on it for such a lengthy period of time. And I think that's also how you run your business. I've seen you with my work that you've done, but I've seen also with a lot of the client work, particularly your big clients. You do what you say you're going to do and you deliver it on time.
Absolutely.
Now, that is also, hopefully throughout this entire series, we're going to see this pattern with everybody because that is everyone that I know that I dub a top achiever. And by the way, a top achiever for everyone listening and for you, Alice, is not someone with the amount of wealth they've accumulated or the amount of success. It's the actions that people take that make them outstanding at what they do. So, in that case then, who is, and I know you've met so many amazing people in your life, who is your business hero then? And why?
Business hero. Oh, that's a really good question. I mean, excluding present company. My brother's pretty amazing.
Yeah. You speak a lot about your brother.
Yeah. And so is my both my sisters and my dad. I'd say that I've been very blessed because I've been surrounded by people that we're all go-getters. Ambition runs in our blood, and we always want to step up, and we follow through. We're all hardworking. Our work ethic is crazy because that's how we are. I mean, but it goes back to Macca's days. if you've got time to lean, you've got time to clean. God, I can't believe I remember these
Yeah,
things.
you always remember that.
I know. But then, my brother is a pretty amazing, ambitious person. He's in the finance, and he moved to Sydney and flourished, and he still flourishes. And
He's here now.
he's in Adelaide now. He moved a couple of years ago from Sydney. And then my sister, I'll include my sister who took over my parents' business and has taken it to a different level because she's not a hairdresser. It's a hairdressing business. But then also my other sister, my closest one, she was in the travel industry, and unfortunately she was made redundant, but she worked really hard. She was a manager at Flight Centre, and then she came back into Travel Associates to create her own niche market, I guess, for those that want the road less travelled. And she's very clever. I'm very blessed to be surrounded by some very smart people in my life. And, you can't get away with too much. You can only feel sorry for yourself for so long around my family.
Amazing. I love it. I'm writing all these key takeaways down, and I'm running out of room on my page. And I knew this would happen with you because you are so acutely aware of the little things that you do right, and that's why I knew you'd be an amazing guest, and hopefully that's really coming through. Business is not all flowers and rainbows, Alice, as we know. What failure experience set you up for success later on? What's the one thing that is, that has set you up?
Failure in business.
Failure in anything,
in
really.
Everything, because I was going to say, I was fortunate. Before I started my own business, I was general manager of another business.
Yeah.
And I learned a lot because, as you mentioned, I am a sponge, and I am a sponge. I love learning from people. It's something, you can give me a piece of paper in front, but I also want to know what all the other pieces of paper mean. And I always want to grow myself and learn every element, because if I can do it, then that's awesome. So I was a general manager of this business, and the owner of the business had a medical episode, we'll call it, very early on. And so I was thrown into the deep end, which was very scary because I moved to Sydney and literally did not know the market, and I'm running someone else's business and trying to keep that going. But then I drew on the experience I had from advertising in Adelaide, and again, sink and swim. You have to learn a lot if you want to succeed. In Adelaide's a really cutthroat market. Well, it was 20 years ago, I have no doubt. Well, it is still really. We're tough in Adelaide. Yeah. But then I came across a lot of personalities, and I think that's when I think also an age factor, and I know I'm kind of like jumping around here, but an age factor of, I was young when I started being general manager, so I was 27 years old, and you don't get taken so seriously when you're that young, and I felt that a lot. So there was times where I just did not get the client I wanted, or they didn't take me as seriously as I wanted to. I wanted them to, because I'm this young person that comes along, and what do I know really? Well, that's the impression I got, and maybe that's also being naive to it as well. But I definitely learnt from the failures in that business, because I was front and centre of it. Because when you haven't got control of something as well, but you're encouraged to have control of it, so you're given the control but taken away a lot, it is very roller coaster and hard to be. It's unstable, and so that taught me a lot about. Wow, I want to have my own business, because I never thought until that moment that I wanted my own business, because I wanted to learn from people. And I think that one really, I saw a lot of raw energy, a lot of distrust, a lot of the probably uglier side of things, really working hard. And that's when yoga, funnily enough, came into my life. I learned yoga and then I became a little obsessed with yoga, but it was kind of the balancing act on something that I was involved with. I couldn't control, but I needed to be able to, but I had so many moving parts. And so that is also learning adaptability as well. So from that moment, I actually got very overwhelmed, didn't want to go to work, and it came to the point of I have to step away, make the decision to step away from a business because it's not working for me emotionally, mentally, and the idea was to step away and become a freelancer. And what happened is the natural progression of here we are today, 13 years later, to a business that I just stepped into for me creating a safer space for myself, which then I brought the clients that I built up into the other business because I had the relationship with that, not the previous relationships of the owner of the business, where they had this expectation of someone that I could never deliver for. And so I was able to curve and carve my own path and create the environment which I have now to this day, where I've got Chloe and Leah, to never create such an unstable environment for them so that they can feel their safest space to really be creative. Because if you haven't got that stability, the creative gene or that happy place of put your ideas out there and feel like you're not going to be scolded for it or anything, that's where you really blossom in every role, creative or not. If you can bring it to the table and it be explored and not judged, especially before you get to a client, because obviously you have your huddle and that's your vulnerable space, and then the client gets the beauty that comes out of it. That's the environment that I wanted to create, because I've been into some not as great environments, and I learnt a mountain there. And I don't look at it as a failure though, and I don't think it is a failure. That word failure, I probably look at it as more, where did I learn the most? And in that instance, I'd say that stepping stone into my own business, where I didn't even know that's what I wanted. I just think intrinsically, because I was brought up in an environment where we're business owners, that's where I was avoiding it. It was probably like avoiding the inevitable, but I wasn't ready to step into it. And I didn't even realise I was ready, and it's the organic positioning that I'm in now. And now I've stepped into it, now I just want to go further. I feel like I've only just begun. I really do.
I think you have just begun, Alison. I think that's a really good answer. And, again, another massive key takeaway is that you need to step in. It's not a matter of just stepping up. To step up, you've got to step in first. Anyone that's familiar with Brené Brown's work, that's what that's all about, vulnerability. So I think that there's some really good takeaways, and I'm just going to recap some of them now, and just in case I miss some, but you've got to take on the fear. Yeah. You've got to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. You've got to take action. You've got to make decisions. You've got to build your work ethic, build your grit in that area. You've got to be vulnerable. Adaptability is foundational. And then the one that constantly keeps coming up is that you've got to step in and step up. And I think that that's just really, really excellent in terms of what makes you stand out in a room. And I think that's what people are drawn to when it comes to you. So, one of the things that I really want to try and touch on, and we've gotten through a lot of material in a very quick amount of time. We haven't even been tapped on the shoulder to say, hey, time's running out. But one of the things that I really want to ask you is, you talk about the importance of having advisors, right? Or people that you trust. And I think that's another great takeaway is trust. Surround yourself with the right people that you can trust for their independence.
Yes.
Right? What advice would you give to someone then if they are in that lonely, kind of unsure, overwhelmed environment? And would that be different advice to someone who was in a confident environment who was looking to step up? Right? So what is the advice you give someone? And is it different or is it the same? I guess everyone's got a different take on this. So what would you say to someone who didn't have the right people around them or didn't have anyone? And would that advice be different if they were feeling lonely and overwhelmed, or they were solo entrepreneurs kicking ass?
That's a really...
It's a bloody good question.
It's a bloody good question. Well, I'll speak to the lonely. The lonely, having been there, no, the lonely.
I actually haven't asked anyone that question before.
It's lucky me.
Just something that I just, I know the value that you have, but I just wonder if it would be different.
Well, okay, so I'll speak to the lonely person. Well, I think in life, the only way you're going to find answers or learn is to put yourself in a situation that you can seek the answers that you're looking for. And you might not even know that you're looking for them. But I think stepping into the discomfort, that whole fear, I like to look at it, I change my view on fear. It's a work in progress. I look at it as excitement because I'm always energized by going to that fear and also the minute I go, am I afraid to do it? Then I have to do it. It is like it's the same conversation or the same sentence, same reaction. So as a lonely person in business, or to finding the right people to surround yourself with, start going to networking events, start talking to people, start talking to your friends that maybe if they have businesses, or just ask questions and ask everybody. Anybody, you'd be surprised at what someone can bring to the table, and usually it's the one that you least expect. So don't, just because you think that they might not know the answer, throw it in a conversation, I would suspect, would be a great idea. That's what kind of I did. I think you've got to try all angles. You don't know what your angle is. If you're lonely in business and you're kind of lost, then what works for you? Break it down, I guess, find out what works for you. Because we are so individual, but you actually have to self-reflection, self-awareness, look at yourself harshly, but not harshly in the sense of in judgment, but harshly in the sense of you have to be truthful. Because we all we're wonderful at this, or I'm not very good at this. Be realistic. I mean, self-esteem is a big part of it as well. And why are you feeling this way? You've got to look at yourself in a big part of it, and then discover by getting outside of your comfort zone. For a confident one, what is it that you're missing? Yes, you're confident. What is it that's missing? So you kind of have to do the whole reflection as well. Yeah, you're confident in business, but what's limiting you? Because obviously there's something that's limiting you. If you're kicking ass, then what are you questioning? I guess it's more really how are you looking at yourself? Because it's your questions you're asking yourselves, and what are the answers you're getting? Are they the same? Are you doing anything different? Because if you're doing the same thing, you're not going to get any different. Or maybe you try something different. Maybe look for a different perspective. Big part. Look at the people around you. Talk to the people around you. Get ideas. Don't be so single-minded. Some people are, but explore. I think exploring everything is try it all, dabble. I don't know.
So how does someone know, 2 questions. How does someone know they're getting the right advice? And how do they choose the right advisor?
Okay.
So maybe
the right advisor first?
Yeah,
the right advice.
Yeah, how do you know the advice you're getting?
I think intuition is a huge factor. I mean, I'm huge on energy. I have always, I was a quiet child, so I would observe a lot. So reading people, you can pick up on intricacies of people's personality, and you have to. It's also the saying of the teacher arrives when the student is ready. So unless you're ready also to step in, it doesn't matter. Unless you're ready, nothing's going to happen. And what makes you ready? Oh, again, that's something that you've got to answer for yourself. The right advice, it doesn't feel right. There's a big difference on it being fearful to not feeling right. If you feel like it's going to not work for you, then you've got to go based on that. You have to go with your own gut. If it's because you're stopping yourself, that's something else you have to look into. That's, again, you've got to view yourself, self-awareness, self-reflection. That's 2 different kettles of fish.
Yeah.
Right advice is ask someone else. Get more than one advice. It's like getting quotes for anything. You don't just get one quote and go, oh yeah, you've sold me. You get a couple, and then you feel what feels right for you. And that goes with advisors. You have to connect with your advisor, I believe, because connection is the root of it all, for everything. The right advice, you connect with it. It's the gut feeling, gut connection, same. give it a different word, whatever you like. But the advisor that you work with you need to be able to connect with. You need to be able to get vulnerable and feel like you can be safe in it. It's not whether you like it or not. It's about whether you feel like that the anxiety doesn't sit with it. Because, there's nothing like when you go out with the wrong people and then you talk about something that's vulnerable to you, and then all you're thinking is, why did I say that? And your gut says, why did I say it? And then you talk to other people and you say it, and you don't walk away going, why did I say it? You go, God, it's good that I got that off my chest. Huge difference.
I think what I heard there is the connection is fundamental to the outcomes that you want to achieve, because if you don't have that connection, you don't have that safe space to share, and you don't have that trust,
absolutely,
then how's someone going to be able to help you evolve, especially if you're looking to grow? What I want to add to that, and I think what's really important, is too many people seek strategists and growth advisors on a really flawed criteria. And I didn't know this, but I did the same as well. Before, when I look at Christian 1.0, when I went out and built my very large hospitality and media empire, and got up to almost $30 million in turnover, employed 150 people, and man, I was really crap at how I did it. And I went out and hired, some of the best coaches and business advisors that Adelaide had to offer. Because I had the resources, and I got it completely wrong. Like, these people, there was no connection. That was the biggest issue now, that I thought I had a connection, but I was a transaction, right? And I was a transaction for all these people. And I think when I finally made the decision to listen to everybody around me who said, Christian, it's time that you give back to the world, stop building your own businesses and go and become a full-time advisor. Go out, and I'm like, I'm going to become a coach? What are you talking about? It's hideous. People have got a really bad rap, right? And that's when I realised, and I think you've heard me talk about this a lot, I'm not a coach. I mean, sure, I do help people get from A to B faster, better and smarter. But I think what it is that it's like Elaine, a friend of mine, Elaine Stead, said to me, who's a VC, she said, you're the best cheerleader on the planet. And you said you got to have a cheerleader in your corner. What that really means is you got to have someone you connect with. And I'm very privileged, and a lot of my clients know each other because we do things together. And I feel really privileged that I have the opportunity to work with the people that I work with, because we build connections. And I would call you a friend, not just a client, and then vice versa. I know the feeling's mutual. And I know that I have that all the way across. And I think I remember even sharing with you when I got really unwell last year, and I think I said to you, I said, I'm going to have to let go of a lot of my clients because I'm really not well. And, you were one of the people that we stayed. Why? I mean, do you remember why I said to you that, who I kept?
Well, it was a lot about energy.
Yeah. It was about the right people.
The right energy, and the ones that were taking energy, and the ones that were mutually adding to each other.
Correct.
Because it's not so transactional. It was more...
And I know this is how you run your business too. So I got rid of anyone who I felt was transactional. And it was quite spectacular because, and I know this is about you, but I just want to share this because you just really made it come to life in listening to you. I tripled the size of my advisory firm within 2 months because the world gives us what we want. And you talked about this a lot, that you're intuitive and your energy. And I think that's a really important thing. And I know that other people we've done the podcast with already have all raised the same thing, that there is this energy that you've got to have. And, for some of us, and for you, you're way more enlightened because you spend you spend so much time. We talked about you being a specialist graphic designer, and you're an outstanding graphic designer. But what you didn't tell everybody is that while you were running a household, looking after 3 children that are all under the age of 10, building a very large studio, boutique studio, you also went off and became a yoga master instructor. And, I remember when we first started working together, like, I have to find, Christian, 10 days to get out of this business so I can go and do 10 days of insane immersion in yoga. And I just was like, this woman's nuts. What are you going to make me do? And you know what? You wanted to do it, and we worked around it, and we did it. But you did it. You managed to just bring it all together. So, there's all these other elements
determination.
And that's why I wanted to share that, because it's all well and good to go, but you push yourself beyond the limits of an everyday person. And I think that's really come through in today. I mean, if it hasn't, I have failed. Because I've also tried to add layers to it. But, I just think it's so... I mean, it's funny. I work with you almost every day, and I sit here and I get so excited by even just being in this room, because I'm like, oh my God, these are all the things that we've been working on, and they kind of come through. And I really hope that the audience today is really feeling that, because there is so much depth in what you're saying. And I think that, I think you're an amazing person, and I think that really helps. And what I really love is that, you have brought to the forefront that when you work with someone that has like-minded goals, right? We both are high achievers. We want outstanding results, but we are client and people focused. And I think that's the really important thing. And that's what brings this connection together, right? And look, I know we're about getting a tap on the shoulder. I want to say a really big thank you. I know how incredibly busy you are. And I know how incredibly nervous you were about coming on.
I'm just not a fan of these things.
Yeah, and look, I think you did an amazing job.
Once I get started, I'm all right.
You did an amazing job. Just like when you first said to me, I am not going to network. For all of you out there listening, I strongly suggest that you follow Alice on LinkedIn. You also follow Pennington Design only because not only does she do an amazing job, but if you want to see some incredible photography, all done off her phone on these crazy trails that you walk. Alice is the complete opposite of me, by the way. She spends 80% exercise time. I spend no time exercising, but she integrates it. You integrate it into your daily life. And that's something I'm very, very envious of, and envy from a really good place, because I kind of go, I got no excuse not to do that. Okay, all right, my knee, my back, all the other excuses. But what I'm saying is, I really don't. I look at you and I see someone who integrates so much in 24 hours. And for that, I am grateful that I have the privilege to serve you. Oh, and thank you for making the time to be here today. Is there anything that you want to share with whoever is out there listening today that we may have missed, or something you want to just give them as a singular key takeaway that's really important?
Passion is a huge driver. Seriously, find anything, even small things that you're passionate about, and do them habitually. And in habit, you can change your life.
Amazing. Alice, thank you so much. And now you can take that microphone off and get on with your day. No, Alice, thank you very much. And I look forward to making the podcast go live, and hopefully it goes boom for you and everybody else. But thank you so much, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Cheers. Are you ready to start taking action on your business? Would you like to spend more time with your family? Then call 1300-643-229 and start building momentum right now. I know you're busy. In fact, you are so busy that you don't have time to work on your business or yourself. Often tossing and turning at night, worrying about the how-tos and the cash flow. How on earth can you possibly get off the hamster wheel so that you can take a helicopter view to see where you'll be in 90 days, 1 year, or 3 years from now? In this program, I will take you from sleepless nights to blissful sleep. You'll have more time with your family, and you will have the clarity and direction so you can grow and flourish. Call 1300-643-229 now and start building momentum.